Um, hey guys, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. You know what it is. What up, though? You know how we do it. But before we get started, I don't know if she warned you, whatever. We get started with every podcast, what we call it an over the top intro, mainly because we got special guests in the building. We got to treat them right, okay?
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is award-winning director, producer, writer, born in Kula, Bangladesh, and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. You may know him from Skeletons in the Closet, MR9, the Mojave Diamonds, and right next to him is an actor, producer, writer, all the way from Dallas, Texas. You may know him from some of his work on Lonesome Soldier, Dead Man's Hand, and Shrapnel. And what we here to talk about today, that will be Boneyard, released on demand and in theaters July 2nd and in theaters July 5th. Asif Akbar, Vince E. McDaniel, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Sam.
I know we're about to jump into some dark stuff, but every person from the great state of Ohio, I got to test y'all. OH! Okay, I guess he ain't from Ohio.
Yeah. I've been around. I've been away from Ohio probably 18 years
What,
now.
the Bucks?
Yeah, the Bucks.
Buckeye? My little cousin played for the Bucks.
Oh, yeah, that's
right.
Number
Michigan.
5.
Yeah.
He plays for the
All right, I'm Michigan to my heart.
That's right. You're in Michigan. Yeah.
But when I say,
I think it's better not to
OH.
have this conversation, brother.
No, that's not. But
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is, usually all my Ohio people, straight to their heart, Asif, soon as I say OH, it's in their bloodstream. It'd be like, I-O. You can catch them.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
You could just catch them. You could catch them out of a dead sleep. Huh? Oh, I-O. Yeah. All right. But guys, man, this was a great project. I remember watching a lot of this on the news. But how did this project come about?
Well, that's a great question. And, it actually came from Vince. He grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and actually knew some of the victims from the West Mesa murders case, which this was greatly inspired from. And about 8 years ago, Vince and I connected on, through a mutual friend in New Mexico, and we started talking about doing projects, and we did collaborate on a lot. And, he brought me the script that him and our other co-writer, Hank Bird, put together. And that was mostly inspired from the West Mesa murders. And then over time, after I came on board, we, broadened it to be inspired from more, true crime stories that blended it to become a bit more of an original story that we're telling here. But at the same time, it's shedding light on these cases and these victims that we had to take some theatrical liberty in, to make our own. But our overall purpose with this was to bring awareness to these kinds of cases. So maybe it can help solve it, or at least, keep it in the news to get tips, and also to prevent from other victims from these cases.
When you take something that is a real story and based on true events, how important is it to tell this story, but still being respectful to the case study at hand? Because, like you said, you took a few liberties, but when you're dealing with real events, you got to be respectful because you don't want someone like, that's not what happened.
Right. I mean, we had to humanize all the characters, and I feel, every person, watching this can relate to at least one character in the movie. And the biggest takeaway for me is this is a real life horror story, with this happening every day. The statistics that we show in the film are mind-boggling. We couldn't even believe it ourselves. So our goal is to get that out there for people to think about and be aware of the real horror that's living amongst us. And I know Vince also had a lot of experience being in New Mexico, and there's a whole different culture there that we brought to the screen, and I'll let him elaborate more on that too. But there's a lot of dynamics behind our vision with this.
Well,
Yeah,
Vinny Mac. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, please.
you said it right. Vinnie Mac. How you know that?
Do a little homework.
So, being raised in New Mexico, knowing some of the victims, and just letting, just to divulge, I always wasn't on the straight and narrow. I used to be in those streets like some of us were until, we evolved and changed for the better. But I knew some of the girls, I knew a lot of the situations, and we just took from those situations, those experiences, and incorporated it into the script. And one of the main things is, like Asif said, we want to um, make everybody human on this, and we had to also be very aware of the people that we were dealing with, as far as the victims, and because the families are still out there, they're paying close attention, they're still wanting answers. So we wanted to create something that's gonna continue to speak about the story, raise awareness also, and hopefully get some resolve for these families at the end of the day.
Well, Vinnie Mac, I'm glad you answered that because that feeds into my next question. In this movie, you play no nonsense police sergeant Graham. Now, he's clearly, I'm saying this, I hope I'm not spoiling the movie. He's clearly leading a double life. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with real people and you're playing this character who is an actual person, did you guys get a chance to connect with the actual Sergeant Graham? Or is it just kind of you did your homework on him and made it up that
So,
way?
just to give you a little insight, in New Mexico, I played sports and everything. I played semi-pro football, and most of the guys on the football team were correctional officers, uh, people from, Vice, DEA. So, I had a lot of people around me that I was able to just go to and, hey man, so how would you do this? Or what happens in this situation? So I wanted the meat and potatoes, and I wanted to be able to show this in its, entirety. I want to be able to bring the whole thing home.
And it
So I
was a
got
blend of, different types of characters
yeah.
into one. And so I think he's Graham is representing um, someone that's probably in every police department in the country.
Yeah, there's at
Now,
least one in every
Yeah,
department.
probably. Yeah.
there's a Graham everywhere you go.
Yeah, to a
All right,
degree.
all
Yeah.
right. And I know we getting to it with time and everything, so I just got a few more. One question I always like to ask is, was there something? I mean, you're putting all of this information in roughly 90 minutes.
Yes.
So, was there something you think you could elaborate a little bit more on, or something that you had to cut, and you was like, I really want to talk more about this instead of that?
Um, yeah, I mean, for me, it would be, yeah, like you said, the 90 minutes is tough for a story like this and with so much going on. But for me, it was be maybe, if we could have touched up on some more of the victims, and add some more characters, probably would have been a little bit more, deeper. But we just didn't have that time. We had to focus on limited, characters from the victim's side.
All
Yeah.
right. And lastly, I always love to ask this because I had a great time watching this, or as great as you can, with the subject matter, I guess. But what do you want the audience to take from this film? Both of you, either one of you can ask.
Awareness of this. I know
Bottom
this is,
line.
yeah, I know this is a very hot topic with the true crime stories. People are watching these docu-series and all these movies based on all these serial killers or true crimes. For us, it's basically presenting it in a different way. It's a non-traditional way. We kind of blended it a little bit, with the cinematic style, with a little bit of documentary, where it's not a documentary, but some of the scenes are portrayed as more of like educational scenes where you're getting stats, you're getting basically Mel Gibson teaching you about serial killers and the different profilings of people to, be aware of. If we can save at least one life from being abducted or, taken or abused on, or if we can bring closure to one family from a similar case like this, I think we've done our job, and this is a global issue. I keep saying it's not just in the US. But you know, we've had stats that you see in the movie. There's over 2,000 active serial killer cases that are unsolved right now, just in the U.S. alone. So imagine the global
Worldwide.
numbers, you know, and there's over 600,000 missing persons cases just in the U.S. alone. So this is a huge, huge issue that's normally not really talked about or thought about.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, this was a great. I know we didn't have a ton of time, but you're always welcome back. Asif, Benny Mac, whatever project you got, you can always chop it up with us here on the podcast. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time.
Thank you, Sam, for having us.
All
Thank you.
right, y'all. Y'all have a
Take
good one.
care.